Folks, hello, welcome to Tavern Chat. Today we have a fireside chat with none other than Mark Reed of Noble Dwarf Printing. Mark, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, but as we were, chatting right before we went live, I was telling you, I love the background. I love you looking at you with the canvas behind you and your props. It looks awesome. It really looks professional as opposed to my virtual green screen behind me, which it's certainly a bar scene, but I don't know. Doesn't quite have the same pop that your background has.
Well, thanks. These are printed on our gallery canvas. So this is 100-year archival grade canvas. Like it won't yellow and they store really well. So they're going to last forever. And they come, we have multiple on the website, but you can upload your own as well. So that's really neat.
Oh, that's pretty damn cool. Yeah.
They're anti-glare. You don't get any of the, like you see the reflections in my cases, but you don't get any reflection off the backdrop. So they're really neat because you can throw them up in the kitchen or dining room, use them for your game, and then roll them up, put them away, and you still add to your game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually have one of the, at least one, maybe two. And I say maybe only because I pick up stuff that I have intention to hang and display, and then I have to wait for spousal approval to get to that point. But as everything gets just piled in its own little corner. But the quality of these prints are spot on. And like I have it's a list of fade and stuff, and her detail work is very detailed, and it catches all those details. So I gotta say I'm impressed.
Thank you. It's really nice I found the right medium. I got the right printer, and then I found the right artists. I'm working with a whole lot of game companies now, and cartographers like Alyssa who put out these amazing pieces of art that people would like to have. And by printing it on this gallery canvas that we have here, you get the tactile feel so that when you are able to game with your friends at home and you drop a map on the table, it feels like it belongs in your world. It's not some laminated thing from Staples.
Right. And all right, so, and you said when you're able to game at your table, real world gaming. I know a lot of gaming last year in 2020, and I guess the beginning of 2021 has been virtual. I am somebody who goes to multiple cons usually every year. Part of my responsibilities before I got games is usually to help run the game booth, the game table, and run some games on top of that. And my last convention was TotalCon last February. And then the world of COVID hit. Now, we had touched on this again right before we jumped into the live stream, but your business is actually very convention oriented because you're selling physical products that kind of have a tactile visual aspect to them. So,
well, especially with like our initial product, my initial product line was custom printed spell books and
damn,
physical props that are just gorgeous. This is the same canvas. So this is everything we do is on this archival canvas like this. And so we worked with these great artists, but if you can't see this and pick it up and like these bars were blacksmithed by Gil Ramirez, a friend of ours, hand hammered every one of these. That needs to be felt to be
to be appreciated. Damn.
And so it is a convention business. You see this and you just go, "Oh, I have to have that."
Right. So I'm guessing that the year of the pandemic has not been kind to you when it comes to that aspect, because there's been no physical conventions. I mean, I think TotalCon was probably one of the last more majorish conventions that kicked off. There's a few exceptions. I know North Texas had a convention last June, but it was like, I don't know, 75, 80 locals. You didn't have anybody coming from really other states. So
we were literally packed and ready to go to GaryCon when everything shut down. And that was our coming out, because we were supposed to have these delivered in time to go to that. And the virus, delayed our production, our shipping, and then delayed every single convention we had out the gate. But our last convention was a Strategicon show. I want to say I might have gotten the February one. If not, it was September of 19 the last time I was actually at a show.
Wow.
So it's been rough. It has given me an opportunity to kind of hunker down and write more and create more props and things for the company. But as far as exposure, for sure, we were there.
Well, and that's rough. And I know that conventions are going to be coming back this year. We have the immunization shots are out there. I actually got my second shot last Tuesday, so it's almost a week since my second shot. And I know North Texas plans to be up and running this year, close to full numbers. I'll be going with my wife. Gen Con punted themselves, I think, 6 weeks into September.
Yeah, and that hurt a lot of people because they've already built their time around that. I've got friends who say I can't go because of the new dates.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. They're not. I guess it may probably because they don't even know yet. That you don't know the number of people that can actually attend. You don't know what the setup is going to be for the vending room.
No matter what, they'd sell out that vendor room. I'm on a list, so they would sell out that vendor room, and I don't think they would have any problem filling that entire convention hall to max capacity.
I think the problem is though is that these are all people that have already paid. And people that paid for the 2020 convention and rolled their money over basically are going to be the ones that get the first. So it keeps Gen Con from having to put money out, but I don't know if they're really going to be making much new income from this. It's going to be interesting.
I think that all the conventions that had to cancel last year are basically taking a hit this year, right?
Right.
They're all going to be rolling over that booth space and the advertising and so I think they're going to be taking a hit that way, and they're going to be looking for other revenue streams. Luckily, Gen Con has enough, like every one of those food trucks that's parked out there is paying. And things like that. So they do get some revenue that isn't dependent on ticket sales.
Right. But it's going to be interesting. And Gen Con's got this weird physical presence, digital presence, and pop-up store con presence that still makes very little sense to me.
Right.
Vendors or publishers can send their product to local stores where people can perhaps buy it or perhaps look at it, perhaps play in the store, depending on the local regulations that are in effect at the time.
Right, I think imagine the postage for me to send any of this.
Oh, God.
For 5 people to look at it.
Right.
Like the whole point of a convention is trying to get as many people in that weekend to see it, to survive the 5 days you're not working. And there isn't a convention every weekend, so there's way more days you're just not able to be in front of people.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I know what I've spoken about this with Bad Mike from North Texas RPG Con on our Wednesday night live streams, because without having that physical presence at a convention, and people are like, well, maybe digital cons, virtual cons are part of the wave of the future, and to some extent. For tabletop gamers that are just in it for the game, yes. But if you're somebody like me, I go to conventions to talk to people, hang out in the bar, and oogle and ogle at all the fine merchandise, books, and other stuff. That's my experience. That's what I go for. For me, gaming is secondary. I can game from a virtual tabletop any day of the week if I wanted to.
Exactly. And that's why I didn't even I want to say the word bother. I didn't even bother with a virtual dealers hall at a single convention last year. And they asked and they all had, and it's like, I can't even imagine it. Well, I'm going to be at GaryCon this weekend just because I'm in my Kickstarter and I want to be there. And I'm going to try.
Right.
You know, you got to step out of your comfort zone. But I'm basically going to be sitting here in a Discord channel like this, waiting for somebody to come up and talk to me about this product for how many hours? That does not work from a company perspective.
No, and you're not, again, conventions are a way to get personal with people that you would otherwise be strangers with. And part of that is making a physical connection. You get to see their expressions, you get to see their face. I, again, love working the table, get to meet customers, fans of Frog Guy Games, fans of my blog or podcast. It's always fun to get to put a face to a name that you might have seen online and to make that connection. Go, oh, I remember, yeah, you commented way back when.
For year after year. That's the thing. You are establishing friendships. I mean, they're not, you know, but it's great. And we need that, especially now. And I like it because they're usually the relationships you make at a convention that you choose to cultivate are always positive. You're always talking about something good. It's not, and not that you don't need the conflict of regular life, but we have enough regular conflict in life. So when you do get to see these friends for the weekend, it's let's go to the bar and have a cocktail and talk about the good stuff. We don't need to dwell on the other. And so it's an escape for all of us that we need.
Yeah. And it's rough. And which not that I had Cyclops Con, which was a DCC RPG heavy convention, I think last month in February. Apparently they used an interface that kind of replicated at being at a con. It had a almost like an ancient, I forget the name of the app they used, but it looked like Zelda from the Nintendo days. And you could walk through and bump into people. You bumped into somebody, the vid chat popped up and you can interact with somebody. You walk to a vendor's table and the vid chat would pop up. Am I saying it's a perfect solution? No, far from it. But it's better than most setups for a virtual con, which is, oh, well, yeah, if you want to go to the gamers hall, or the vendors hall, go to the vendors channel on Discord and then find the table you want to go to. Yeah, it's not the same. It just doesn't do it.
Exactly. And so that's why I really did shy away from it. I am going to make the effort this weekend, but who knows how that will go.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's been a trying year just in general for people. And for people in the hobby, where again, conventions are your bread and butter to a large extent. It must have been even more trying. I mean, and again, in my case, I'm retired, didn't affect my income, but my wife is a social worker and she's been working from home, which is why I have the new setup that I have, because I haven't been able to access my computer on weekdays because I can't be in the same area when she's, in these conversations with clients. So it's a challenge on many different levels. But I'm going to go back to something that I initially thought I was going to start out with, and then we'll move forward. How did you get into gaming? I mean, here you are, you've made a business of doing props for games, but how did you get into gaming in the first place? That's what I'm interested in.
Would be second edition many moon ago. But I got out of gaming for a large chunk of my life due to my military career and things like that, which I will say I'm glad that the military is actually using it now, where before not so much. So when I retired and I got out, I was doing regular printing, PTA t-shirts and signs, things like that. Boring, just
right.
Soul crushing. And a friend of mine turned me back onto D&D through Critical Role, to be honest. And I got heavy into them for a while, which sparked the interest. And then it was, how do I take all these skills that I have, the machines that I have, the equipment and product that I use, and start making things for D&D. So that's where the spell books came in, because I was printing canvas photos, say, family portraits, things like that, which I still do.
Right.
But I was able to turn it into that physical prop. And it grew from there. Then my love of 3D printing stepped in, and the equipment got better. So now I'm able to turn my characters into it. And so what we really did was our world is basically full on immersion from this backdrop to this potion bottle. The gnome alchemist who makes this potion bottle has a house in the map that Alyssa did for us of Light Harbor, and this is her cash register and potion room. So
Oh, nice.
everything ties together. And so when John got me back into D&D, I want to say, okay, it was the 2016 election that really pushed me out of ever wanting to work in the regular general printing again and get into gaming, so that I never had to think about another political t-shirt.
I got you. Understandable.
So that's really was the catalyst. And John's like, check this out. And it just happened to click and went great. So I've really been able to fall down the rabbit hole of how do we connect all these dots.
Well, I think it's pretty exciting. Now I'm going to, do a quick share screen. For those that are listening at home, I'll tell you what we're going to be going to. We're going to be going to nobledwarf.com. So if you want to follow along as you're listening, it's really go to nobledwarf.com, and you can look at some of the products that Mark has available. And I can attest to the quality of the canvas maps are extremely high quality, really. And I've got to say that the dice and the other miniatures that you have, I'm thinking when I get my my pension at the end of the month, my pension check, I might be doing a little bit more shopping, because this stuff is spot on, just beautiful stuff.
Thanks. We were lucky. We Stanley Morrison, the artist who created the Dragon Dice, he did paintings of them, and we were able to license them from him to 3D print and sell. And so that's where those are from.
Well, they look amazing. And now you also have a line of, I guess I can't call them beholders, because that would be a trademark, but they are eye creatures, or you call them orpheric, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that's the species name in our world, is the orpherics. They're a more refined and sophisticated species. They are just as apt to talk to you as they are to kill you.
Yeah, they really look spot on. A lot of fun, and there's just a lot of atmosphere to these pieces. They really speak, and that's pretty cool. And again, I can see why not having physical convention appearances would hurt, because this is stuff that if I saw it at a convention, I'd be looking at my wife going, and she'd be like, "Yeah, let's get some." She'd be buying in with me, and it'd be great. Whereas, otherwise you're looking and going, well, yeah, it looks cool, but it isn't that same impulse buy. When you're at a convention, you have to buy it at the convention usually, or else you're not going to get it. And you want to take it home in your luggage or your carry-on or whatever you got. So your biggest problem at a convention is usually figuring out the space that you have to take things back, and what can you leave behind? Like, do you really need all the underwear coming back with you that's dirty at this point? Just dump the underwear. You can grab other stuff.
Well, what's really nice about a lot of our stuff is that we have it at the con for you to take with you, but we also have a dedicated amount that we will free ship if you buy at a convention, to where it goes right to your house and you don't have to worry about breaking it. Especially our some of our more fragile items, we'll give the customer the option of, hey, you can take it with you right now, or if you need it to, we'll ship it to you for free, just as a bonus for supporting us at a convention.
Nice. So now we were talking about the maps, and I'm bringing up one of Alyssa Thaden's maps right now. And the detailing that comes out on this canvas is unspeakable. I mean, Alyssa's detail work is amazing, but to see it on canvas with your own eyes and to really feel it and hold it's an experience that it's you have to experience just to understand. I mean, great work, and you offer maps not just from Alyssa, but from a whole set of people.
Right. And we're actually looking and adding new artists and cartographers all the time to host their art on our site and license their work from them. But Elvin Tower was our first cartographer. Derek, he's amazing. Real nice guy, based in Mexico. And then Daniel is in the Netherlands. And so we're able to bring their art to physically into the US at a good cost for their supporters. And they both create like such different types of maps. And then you put in Alyssa's work, which is the uber detailed city, and you really can find what you need for your game. And the way they're set up, most of them can just be dropped into your setting without an issue.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. And now I'm sure some people have bought stuff on places like Redbubble and other print-on-demand stores, but you also sell apparel that would be linked to this gaming stuff, which is another dark tunnel for me to go into, because I could grab this stuff and literally have to throw out clothes from my closet to make room for it. You have a great selection here, and that's...
Thank you. And it's ever growing. I'm working on Troll Lord, some art from Troll Lord and Planet X games right now that's going up in our apparel division. What's really nice there is we carry unisex tees up to 6XL. So you can find what fits you. We carry ladies' tees, tank tops, and hooded sweatshirts, zipper hoodies. So
nice.
Same design across any piece of clothing you're looking for.
Very cool.
Sorry, there's just a lot of ladies who don't want to wear a standard male shirt. There's a lot of people who want that hoodie or that tank top, and most shirts only come in one kind of way.
No, I got you. Now the vinyl stickers, perfect for putting on the back of your car. Very nice. I somehow I didn't even see that before when I was going through your website, but great way to identify yourself as a gamer, where the common folks will look at it and have really no clue as to what they're seeing. Nice. Oh, you see, tempt me not, because this is certainly tempting. Now, the other thing you have going on right now is you have a Kickstarter, correct?
Correct. You're 70% funded, and I think 9 days left.
Oh, so you're not doing bad at all. So now, what is this? What is this exactly? It says the magical draught of malice, liquid-filled random potion generator.
So this is the second edition of our Magical Draft series, and it's a potion bottle that inside has the mechanics of a magic 8-ball. So it's got the liquid chamber, and you flip it upside down and it will show you what potion you get. And then you reference your sheets, and we have poker cards that come with them to explain our version, but you can write up your own and make it fit your game. And so that's our new one right there. And it's a bottle of 20 evil potions, just meant to add menace to your game.
Nice. So, see, the graphic says "Potion of Hag's Breath" is what's coming up in that Magic 8 Ball type of section. Now, Magic 8 Ball was huge when I was a kid, actually maybe even when I was in my 20s, everybody had a Magic 8 Ball. But for those in this current generation who might not know what it was a great little thing that would give you generally non-answers to every question that you asked. It was always something that really didn't answer any question, but at the same time didn't not answer a question. It was some vagueness to it. So now with this, you have all these different options, but you as the GM define what the effects are, and that's pretty interesting because it makes it flexible.
Yeah, I love it, but especially Potions of Hag's Breath. I always use that as my example. I have like 10 different versions of that. Some are protections from, some are negative effects, but like my basic one is that you just get a negative to your charisma checks because you have halitosis. I mean, it can be something benign or simple, or it can be a TPK. It's up to you.
That's fun. Now now that's what it looks like unpainted, and even unpainted, it looks pretty damn nice. And the coloring is perfect. If you wanted to leave the skull and the skeletal hand at that color, just maybe give the bottle a, I don't know, something bright color. I'm not an artist. I haven't painted miniatures in over 20 years, but this is something. It's not small. I can see it with my getting old eyes. It's not like painting a 25 millimeter, mini. So now you're holding up the painted version. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, this is the painted version. Our staff painter, Adam's Family Painting, did this for us. And the way we're shipping them, this section will come sealed and this will be separate. You'll have to glue it on once you get it painted. But that allows you to paint the whole undercarriage and get a really clean paint job before you attach it.
Nice. Very cool.
Or like you were saying, you could leave this to be more just the skeletal white and paint just the body section, and you'll be able to cleanly paint the whole thing and then put it together. But it'll all still be sealed up and safe.
Yeah, you can use my piss poor miniatures painting skills and just give it like a dark wash and then some dry brushing, and the effect might be amazing. Not that I could probably still effectively do it at this point. I'd have to practice because, I guess doing a wash, something that size, you probably have to be a little bit more or less generous than I'm thinking with the wash. But it's certainly something, like I said earlier to you before we went live, this is something I can see giving to my niece and telling her to paint it asking her what color she wants to paint it, then buying the paint so she can do so.
Sure.
And I think that she would have a blast doing that. And it's something that even somebody who isn't necessarily gaming at this moment would enjoy having. And it's also a conversation piece.
Oh, they look great just sitting on the shelf. And there's the two side by side. And you see there's actually quite a bit of difference in height on this, the two versions, so that we could accommodate this skull. But I've been getting emails and posts of people posting their paint jobs on the Happenstance. And they're amazing because they're completely different from the paint job that our painter did.
Oh, wow.
And doing a lot of blues and purples and people just doing insane paint jobs. And that's why we wanted them to come unpainted so that you really could go nuts with it.
Well, that way it makes each one unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of gaming, right? Everybody might go through Temple of Elemental Evil, but the experience for each group is unique to that group.
Exactly.
So,
well, now the reasons like sorry, what we were talking about earlier about why we got into this was to make everybody's game as unique as you want, because you really can upload you're a GM, you've got a player's art, you upload it into a wanted poster, have it printed and sent to you, and then at your next game, you throw down a wanted poster that has your elf thief in a wanted poster, and it's just perfect.
Well, and that's what a prop in a game should be. It should be part of the atmosphere. You don't need a lot of props, but you need those little pieces that bring everybody in, allows them to suspend their disbelief or believe in the alternate reality that's being presented to them. And it doesn't necessarily take a lot. It just takes the right pieces.
Exactly. Exactly. Immersion.
And people think, well, immersion, you need VR glasses and whatever. No, immersion's in your head, but a lot of times just one or two little pieces brings you in, which you might not do otherwise. Again, with the maps, if you have a map that you're going to use in game and you can put down canvas on the table and say, folks, all right, so show me on this map where you want to go. That's a lot different than unfolding a map and placing it on the table, which, I still remember getting, oh my God, I guess like cloth maps back in the Ultima series. And that cloth map was so much more special than having some kind of paper map folded in. It added something that it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it, I think.
Yeah, our tagline for the company is elevate your game. And it really is just that. I remember when I first got into gaming a million years ago, we didn't have miniatures. So it was all pen and paper and just theater of the mind. And then 20 years later, I'm in a game and the guy has 1,000 miniatures on his wall and he pulls these out and here's my dwarf and here's what I'm fighting. And it was totally different. To see this versus this, and you don't get that from a tabletop, virtual tabletop program. You don't get that from anything other than having those physical representations and props in your world. So it's been really neat.
I've always been somebody that is more theater of the mind, but then at conventions for, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 years, I was running for Frog Guy Games Mouth of Doom. And Mouth of Doom was a 3D printed level of an adventure. And it was that. We had minis. And it changed the experience. There was a different immersion factor. And it brings out a different aspect sometimes of your players when they can see stuff. Because they'll spot stuff on a map that you don't even realize, because they can see it. It's not just you explaining what's on the map. They're looking and going, what's this over here? That's like whatever the artist wanted it to be, I guess, the map. But now you've got to figure out what that means, because they're seeing it. And it's a different experience. So I'm actually, even with VTTs, I've used Fog of War so I can reveal the map. And then my players, just that aspect alone makes it more immersive than just trying to do theater of the mind over a VTT, because they can look at the map and go, there's something about this corner. What's this bloodstain over here? And you're like, oh, wow, I didn't think about the bloodstain. And again, the artist, maybe Alyssa Faden threw that in just as a little detail, but now that detail could mean something in the adventure. Again, it's a visual. We don't realize sometimes how visual we are as a species. And again, that goes right to what we broke into when we first started talking about this. Conventions are there so you can get this visual connection or tactile. My wife likes to pick everything up when we go shopping. She's very tactile when she goes shopping. And if she saw your booth, her hands would be on everything, feeling it and looking at it and holding it. And that's an experience you can't get online. You can't duplicate that.
Yeah, it is a hard thing to to even imagine how you would. I don't even think with VR. I mean, if I had a full VR booth, then yes, then you could maybe, but you still wouldn't pick it up. You wouldn't feel it.
Right.
There's no. We had a lot of LARPers by the first one. We made a leather carrier and it hooks on, and it's great because then you can paint this. And now you in your cosplay, you've got this little prop, and they didn't care anything about the D&D function, but they wouldn't have done that if they hadn't seen it.
Right. Because they need to see it and say, wow, that would work as opposed to you look at it online and you go, that's pretty cool, but you don't get that extra, I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here is, but just the extra oomph of seeing something in person. It's the same thing as a species. We communicate better when we can visually see each other. And we're having a great conversation doing this because, again, we have a visual feedback. But if we were doing this face-to-face at a table, it would be multitudes greater because we would get a better idea of facial expressions, maybe, pheromones in a room, who knows? But you get this little extra by being face-to-face that you just can't duplicate, at least not yet.
No. I mean, this is a great alternative in our circumstances. So, I mean, necessity is the mother of all invention. Zoom proved that. It's like a platform right now. We have it. So it's good, but I'm glad that we were talking about conventions coming back. I have 3 planned in July. There's 2, one in Houston, one right outside of Houston in Conroe, one in Amarillo that I plan to hit all 3 of them. So
okay.
We'll hopefully get back to normal soon.
Again, like we said, it's been a rough. 2020 was a rough year for everybody, whether it was directly related to COVID or just the shutdowns and everything else. And I'm glad to see things starting to open up again. I think it's important now. What I do find interesting is that I think last week Wizards of the Coast announced that Wizards of the Coast sales were up, but Dungeons and Dragons sales were up like 33% in 2020.
Yeah.
So now hopefully that converts to more people attending conventions and more people going to conventions with the idea of picking things up, whether it's rule books or adventures or props or maps, to further their gaming in person. Because
if you figure that, I mean, their sales went up that much in a year where you couldn't game in person, it's definitely going to correlate. Once these people, if they're new gamers and they finally get to experience a game in person versus only VTT, they're gonna see and feel that difference.
Yeah, and I think that I think what happened too during 2020 is that a lot of lapsed gamers found themselves without their usual distractions, which was maybe going to the movies or hanging out at the bar or whatever you were doing. And then we realized, oh, wait, I can still socialize with my friends. And look, there's this virtual tabletop shit. I can figure that out. And now that things are opening up, that will convert, hopefully, to people, again, gaming at the dining room table, gaming at game stores, gaming at conventions. It's gonna. I've talked to other people, and some feel that once things start opening up, it's going to be like an explosion. That people are so pent up that everybody's going to want to go out and hit those game stores, hit those shops, hit those conventions.
That's why I go into the one in Houston in July. It's like, sure, it's going to be big just because people are tired of being locked up.
Yeah, and it's been rough. I mean, I am so listen. It's spring is here. I'm already planting stuff in the garden, which is great. But to be able to say, hey, I can go down to my local pub and have lunch on a Saturday, as opposed to wondering if that local pub that's been part of my life for the last dozen years is going to be real, going to be in business. That's been rough.
I'm with you there. We've had a lot of friends go under.
So I mean, just in my within like 2 blocks of my house, a pizzeria that's been in business since 1966 hasn't reopened yet. A bakery closed, but now it just reopened with a new business. It's a Spanish diner, which is cool. I'm interested to see what they have to offer. But a lot of businesses, small businesses in my area out here in Queens, New York, have gone under. And I've driven through Manhattan and seen so many closed storefronts. It is disgusting. So hopefully,
who could pay that nut for a year and not be able to work?
Oh, and agreed, and that's a huge thing. I mean, my local pub used to have a party room attached to it, which was actually a separate rent they were paying. And once the shutdowns happened, John Brown, John's 81, Irish. I spoke to him one day, and he's like, "Yeah, no, we gave up the party room." He goes, "I'm not paying, what is it, $4,500 a month for a room that I can't use and probably won't be able to use."
Right.
For even if we open up, because you can't have large gatherings.
It's crazy.
So he's the rooming that he has now and the nice outdoor seating that's quasi enclosed. He's doing at least as much business as he was prior to COVID, at least now, and he's paying like half the rent. So for him, it's a win.
Yeah.
But because party rooms are something that you're only using limited anyways. So if you're not using a party room all your open hours, it's usually only on weekends, occasionally during the week. Maybe it's overflow for your regular lunch and dinner crowd. But
sure, but you're having to light that air conditioner, clean it, and $4,500 a month.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have anybody over a party over X amount, you have to have a different insurance level for the fire. So he's
he's ahead of the game, and I'm just glad I was there on Saturday. Me and my wife, we went down there, and we went down for dinner. And I walked in, I was like, "Oh my God, do we even have seating?" And I was like, "Well, I'm at to eat in the outside area, which was fine. It's enclosed with that weird New York City. It's outdoors, but it's enclosed, so it counts as outdoors, but it's enclosed." And John was there. I said, "John, I'm happy to see this." He goes, "You and me both, son. You and me both." Because it's been a rough year. And I'm glad to see with you. I'm glad to see that you've got this Kickstarter going. And you've got a great product line. I mean, I'm, like I said, my pension comes in at the end of the month. I see myself making shopping decisions that I'll clear with my better half after I make them. Because these are the props I can put in places and they can display and it can be fine. It's the maps that have to get hung that require wall space that I'm gonna have to find. When Frog God was doing the shower curtain maps for the, I was like, "Hon, we have a map of barge gates." She goes, "Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's a shower curtain." She goes, "Don't even think."
Right. Not the style she's looking for in the back.
Yeah, no. She's like, "Don't even think." I go, "Can I hang it on the wall?" She's like, "Which wall?" I'm like, "All right, well, that's the answer I needed." I guess when it's answered that way, it's like, "Yeah, okay. I think I'll have to go for something smaller, something I can frame."
Gotta pick your battles carefully.
Oh yeah. I'm blessed. Rach goes with me to all the conventions. She helps out at the booth, but and she games at conventions. She doesn't game outside conventions, but she games at conventions. So it's always great. Oh, we have one of our visitors from the UK, and David. Good to see you, man.
Hey.
So, well, Mark, this has been spot on, man. This has been good. I really do appreciate it.
Wow, me too. You get to talk to you.
So, folks, just so you don't miss out, the Magickal Draft of Malice on Kickstarter. You can do a search for it. It looks good. I'm backing for multiple. Actually, I'm backing for 4 pieces because, like I said, I know at least one, if not 2, are going to go to my niece. It's just something that she's she's at the age where she'll not only will she enjoy painting it to look unique, but she'll have fun. She took my Dwarven Forge and at the age of 6, I think, and made her own dungeon, and then told me, Uncle, you know what the treasure is? That's not treasure. That's fake treasure. The real treasure is hidden behind here. But there's a trap. There's a pit. If they come in looking for the treasure, they're gonna fall in the pit and get killed. So they can't get the real treasure. And I'm like, you didn't learn that from me. But you
It's
know,
totally that kind of imagination has to be encouraged at every level. It just has to.
yeah, no, definitely. Yes, David had a map of Great painted on his gaming room wall. That's it, and then his girlfriend moved in and decided to redecorate. Yeah, you know what? Rach knew what she was in for when she met me. You know, 'cause I just come back to gaming and I was playing VTT Fantasy Grounds on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. And it was every other Saturday. So every other Saturday when we would date, I'd have to get her home because she lived in the Bronx at the time. I'd have to get her home in time for me to get back to the game. And I'm like, you know, if you want, I can just bow out. She goes, no, this is important that you game. I'm like, really? I'm like,
awesome. Yeah, well, I keep it right there.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. I did well. Now the other site that folks should know about is nobledwarf.com. I'm going to warn you right now, folks. It's a rabbit hole if you like tchotchkes and other stuff for your game table, or in the case of my case, stuff that a sticker I can put in the back of my car, so I'll always know it's my car. And normal people will really wonder about me, but that's okay because I'm always just one sticker. Right now, I have a magnetic D20 on the back of my car as a decal. So I'll when I trade up and get my new car, I'll move that with it. But I'll probably be buying at least one of these decals because they look really cool. Well, again, Mark, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Folks, as usual, if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard my speech. Neither me nor Mark are medical professionals. I'm not going to tell you what to do in the world of COVID. I'm going to just say use your common sense. All right? You wouldn't throw a fireball into that 10 by 10 room. You tell me after you threw the fireball in the 10 by 10 room and killed your party with the backflow. Here's the deal. If you wouldn't do that, then figure out what you would or wouldn't do with the world of COVID. You got to keep yourself safe so you can help others. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice. And knock on wood, God willing, I will be back again tomorrow. Later, folks.